Hello and welcome to this week's video where we take a look at the past week in Detroit sports, primarily the Detroit Lions pulling away with a huge win against the Arizona Cardinals on the road, and then the Tigers continuing their win streak and pulling off one of the great runs before the postseason in baseball history. One of the great turnarounds. First, I wanted to start with the Lions and their victory because it was a really impressive game, and it was one that I think really eased a lot of people's emotions. It really felt like after that Week 2 game where they lost to Tampa Bay, a lot of people were really starting to worry a bit about the Lions and, oh, are they not as good as we thought they'd be? Or, oh, is the offense cooked? Do they have all these problems? Are they just not? Were they overhyped? Were they a one-year wonder? And that win on Sunday, I think, just helped to get people to realize, hey, maybe we need to just calm down a little bit, take a step back, and realize that September, while important and while you want to win, is not the end of the season. There are a lot of games left. There's a lot still going on, and Tigers are, or I'm sorry, the Lions are not a team that we have to be too worried about right now. That was an impressive win. The defense so far has looked great, and I think that there are plenty of people who are maybe not thrilled with how the offenses look so far. And honestly, I understand that they need to still have some improvements. They're not bad by any means. And this past week was a good game and it was a good win, and the offense looked a lot better. But not scoring any points in the second half really was great. But overall, I mean, Goff had a good stat line. He had a good game. The team overall played well, and I think it's fair to say that this team is still really good, and this is a team that, yeah, they're 2-1, and okay, it's you could absolutely make the argument that they should be 3-0, but they're not, and that's just reality of it. They lost to a Tampa Bay team in Week 2 that's really good, that's been consistently in the playoffs with or without Brady the last several years, and it is hard to beat the same team 3 times in 2 seasons, which is what the Lions are trying to do. And it's just nice to see them win against a Cardinals team who was hot in Week 2, has a good offense, that has a good quarterback and a good running back and a promising young wide receiver. And to see them to see the Lions handle them, to see them go and slow down that offense, to do as much as they can to take away that running game. Terrion Arnold overall looked good covering Marvin Harrison Jr. It's really cool to see that rookie matchup for so much of the game. And again, yeah, the offense wasn't great in the second half, but the beauty is it just didn't need to be. And it's not guaranteed that the defense is going to continue to succeed, but they've been noticeably better. And I think that it's a lot more likely that the offense is going to improve. And I think after the bye, we're going to see them start to look more like last year's offense. And if that's the case and you have this defense to match or something resembling this defense to match, this is a team people are going to be thrilled with. And the game against Arizona, it was a road game against a team that came off of a monster Week 2 victory, and the team looked good overall. It wasn't amazing, but again, they did a great job of slowing down Arizona. And yeah, again, they weren't scoring later, but they still did well. Goff had a good game overall. The 5 interceptions in 3 weeks is a problem, but on the bright side, the running game has been incredible. And Week 2, they really went at the passing game a lot. They kept going with that and tried to rely on Goff to lead them early, and it got them to a point where they kind of needed to keep passing, and they couldn't really rely as much on the run game, even though it did do well in the limited time that they used it. Last week, they used the running game a lot more and a lot earlier, and it was just it just showed you that is how this offense needs to run, is starting with the running game and go from there. It needs to be involved. And David Montgomery had a great game, rushing for over 100 yards, and Jahmyr Gibbs with that incredible touchdown on the trick play that the Lions had. So it has been it was a good week, and I think it's going to continue to be good. And the Monday night game coming up is going to be a tough one. I mean, it's Seattle, and that's a team that the Lions haven't beaten in a few years, and Seattle's 3-0. Like they're going to be legitimate. They're going to be great. They are going to be a real challenge. And Lions are dealing with some injuries too. I still think that the Lions are going to come away with the victory. I just feel that electric Ford Field crowd, and Detroit with a city that's just everybody in the town is really, really excited about the sports world. I think that is going to be a huge advantage, and I think that Ford Field with those new black uniforms, the Lions are going to be great, and I think that they are kind of like how I said it's hard to beat the same team 3 times in 2 years when the Lions lost to the Bucks. It's hard to keep beating the same good team year after year, and even though Seattle's great and they certainly are capable of pulling away with a big victory, I still think that the Lions are finally going to get that win against them and go into the bye week that I think is turning into a blessing in disguise, and use that to hopefully get healthy and then come back against Dallas and try to continue their success. But right now they're 2-1. That's exactly what you want early on. Of course, there are still people who wanted that 3-0 start. And yeah, they were the better team in a lot of metrics against Tampa Bay, but it didn't happen. But at least they rebounded. And it wasn't amazing, and it wasn't a super pretty win, but it was a game where they had a comfortable lead throughout most of it. And it's really hard to complain and to nitpick. The team looked a lot better. The defense is really encouraging. And as long as they stay healthy, the sky's the limit. And of course, though, the big talk in Detroit sports right now, it's the Detroit Tigers. That is the team everybody's focusing on. Everybody's watching them. It's just incredible. Incredible doesn't even begin to describe this turnaround this team's had. I mean, the fact that they had a 0.2% chance of the playoffs on August 11th, and since then have been the best team in baseball for approaching a month and a half. It's incredible. They have just been unstoppable. I think that they are about as confident as I've ever seen a baseball team. I mean, this is a team of really young hitters joining with some already really talented pitchers. I mean, the pitching's been there all year for the Tigers, not just Tarik Skubal, who is the best pitcher in baseball and should win the Cy Young Award, but the bullpen's been incredible. And what Chris Fetter's been able to do as a pitching coach is just amazing. He has been able to make everybody better than you thought they would be. He makes good pitchers great. He makes great pitchers Cy Young winners or Cy Young candidates, and he makes guys who you don't really think that highly of or don't expect a lot out of. He can find whatever talent they have and whatever skills or potential they have, and he finds a way to get them to be the best versions of themselves. It's really amazing what he's able to do with this team. And again, the pitching was there all year. We had a lot of games throughout the season where it was the offense that was the liability, that even though there were some good hitters like Riley Green and Colt Keith, the offense as a whole was pretty stale and would go on these really bad stretches. And it felt like if you were down 2-3-0 early in the game, that was it, because it was hard for them to get any runs. And now you have this really talented young lineup that is as confident as can be, and they're all feeding off each other, and they all feel like they are the best hitters in baseball right now, and they're playing like it. They've been incredible, and they now have a magic number of 2. And the fact that this team not only is in the position where they could make the playoffs after the start they had, but the fact that with a few games left, they're the ones in control and in the driver's seat is amazing. I mean, it's just truly wild to see that kind of a turnaround. They just won this afternoon here on Thursday, so that gave them the magic number of 2 and gave them, I believe, a 5-game winning streak and 9 wins in their last 10 games. I was at the game last night, the Wednesday game, where Jackson Jobe made his debut and the Tigers got their second win against the Rays before sweeping them, and it was one of the best games I've ever been to. I've been to some great games. I got to see some great players in person. I've been to a couple of Tigers playoff games. I went to Miggy's 3,000th hit, but last night's game was really something special. Not just seeing a promising young player make his debut and see how excited everybody was to see him come out of the bullpen, but just to have that feel of everybody in that stadium believes in how great this team is. They're feeding off the energy of this team and are just so happy and supportive. It's really something beautiful, and it just shows you how great baseball can be once you get close to the postseason, when you get to see, hey, your team's real, and this is a real team, not just because they have a shot at the playoffs, but I mean, this is a team that they believe they can keep winning, and it's hard to argue that. I mean, once you get to the postseason, anybody has a chance. And I think the Tigers feel really good about their chances. And if they can keep this run alive, then the sky's the limit. And it's just been great to see. And the Jackson Jobe addition was really nice. And it's just good to see that the team on every level, whether it's the coaches or the players, or the front office, just everybody is on the same page. They are buying in. They are believing in this team. They truly think they can continue to succeed. And what's really bizarre is that it just feels like everything is going their way. They're winning all these games. The teams that they need to lose for the most part are losing these games. There have been great comebacks to get wins, and just everything's falling into place. Or the fact that the last 3 games of the season are home games against a team that is going to end up as the worst team since 1901 in all of professional baseball history is it's absurd. Like that's who you have. That's your final boss. That is who you have to beat in order to get to the postseason. If the Twins don't just keep losing, because that's what they've been doing for the last several weeks. So it's been amazing. And you never know how teams are going to do or how players are going to do year to year, but there are a lot of really talented young players in this lineup who they're the foundation. They're guys that you were hoping would be good for a long time. And look, this might end up being just a nice stretch, and that's kind of it. But I think that some of these guys who are experiencing this, I think this is giving them something that they're going to carry throughout their careers. I mean, this is an amazing experience. I think these guys really do believe in their abilities and their chances, and think that they can continue to succeed for years and years to come. And I don't think they're wrong for thinking that. I think they have a great chance to keep playing well throughout their careers. And so I think, hopefully this isn't just a great 2024 season. Hopefully that these guys continue to play well throughout their careers. And this is just the start of not just a great stretch of games for the Tigers, or a great, postseason for the Tigers. Hopefully this is a start of a great era for the Tigers, and that the next several seasons will be great just like this. Because, we saw these close runs between a couple other teams in Detroit sports. I mean, in 2022, the Lions nearly made the playoffs after a pretty rough start. They just missed out, but they came close. And then the Red Wings last year nearly made it as well. So you keep seeing these teams that have really talented young cores that are so close to making it, and they get so close, and you feel like, hey, if we get in, nobody wants to face us, nobody wants to deal with us, and they can't quite get there. And one, it's fascinating to see what it'll be like with the Detroit team actually getting in when they're the hottest team in sports just before the playoffs, because the Red Wings and the Lions were teams that, couldn't quite get in and felt like they were able to pull off some upsets, and it didn't happen. And the Tigers have that opportunity to, as long as they, get either 2 more wins, or the Twins lose a couple more games, or it's, 1 win and 1 Twins loss. But they have that opportunity, which is great. But the Lions also the next year went to the playoffs, and now it looks like they're going to do it again. And the Red Wings have a great shot at the playoffs this year. Like, these are teams that weren't just good for those stretches. They were starting these really impressive eras, and I think that's what the Tigers are going to do. I'm really thrilled with how this year is going to, shake up, and how it's going to end. The fact there will be postseason baseball most likely in Detroit is incredible. But I think for years to come, these guys, if they keep playing at some level similar to this, they're going to continue to be great. I cannot wait to see what the Tigers have in store for the rest of this regular season, hopefully for the postseason as well. And that'll do it for this week. And I appreciate you all tuning in, and I hope you have a good time. And hopefully we'll be able to talk some about some important Tigers games next week as well.